Please welcome Rissa Jackson.
Hi, my name is Rissa Jackson, and I'm going to be talking to you about window magic and command line wizardry. And I had a mini heart attack backstage when this wasn't working, and so hopefully it goes well. Let's get into it. This is our agenda for today. We're going to go over definitions, why to learn, how to learn, command line wizardry, aliases, window magic, management, and then a demo. And past me was really rude to me, giving myself a live demo for the biggest audience I've ever spoken in front of, so hopefully the live demo gods are kind today. You heard a little bit about who I am, but we'll go a little bit further. Again, I'm Rissa Jackson. I'm from Austin, Texas in the US. Let me just go ahead and apologize on behalf of like 50% of the American tourists here. I'm very sorry. I'm a full-stack software developer. I've been in love with Laravel and Vue since 2020. International speaker, CLI until the day I die. Mostly wanted the rhyme. And some hobbies for me are acro and board games. If you're interested in talking about that after, I'd love to. Let's get into some definitions so that we're on the same page. Okay, so command line, CLI, terminal, editing environment that is text-based. Aliases. These are ways to replace a word or command with another string. And window management, software that controls the placement of windows within an interface. So think of, a window of VS Code and a window of, Chrome or something with docs, and you're trying to move them around in between or maybe put them next to each other. We'll start with some disclaimers. These are influenced by my experience. This is not the right way. I don't think there is a right way. I'm just showing you some options. Maybe you pull something from it that you like, and maybe you toss away the things that you don't. I am a Mac user. This is going to be a little Mac-centric on tooling, and I'd love to learn from all of you. That's a really fantastic way to learn these things, is to share what works for you and see if maybe what works for someone else can help you. So why should we learn any of this? Why is this useful? Well, to be more efficient. But there's a caveat there. As developers, we love to spend hours automating things that take a minute to do. So sometimes it's more efficient, sometimes it's not, but we'll ignore that part. To not just rent your computer. A lot of us end up working on computers that are not ours. Maybe they're the company laptop or something, or using someone else's. And customizing it, figuring out what windows and tools and aliases you like is a great way to make that computer feel like yours. To feel like a wizard, and who doesn't want to feel like a wizard? And because it's fun. How to learn. One of the best ways to learn is to figure out what annoys you. Anything repetitive, anything you hate doing, try and fix that. See if there's a tool out there, see if there's a way you can make it better. Pair with people. This is one of the ways that I've learned about most of the things I know, is by seeing someone use something and asking them, what is that? What problem are you solving? How does this work? It's a really fantastic way to share knowledge through communities. Ask questions, search. There's fantastic blog posts and videos out there. We have a wonderful tech community. The Laravel community is one of the best I've ever seen, and it's a great place to learn. Iterate. Don't try and solve all these problems right away. That gets really overwhelming. Pick a couple and keep building on it until you're really happy with it. And challenge yourself. Can you get away with not using your mouse? Can you get away with automating something? Just see what you can get yourself to try. All right, let's start getting into command line wizardry. So there is bash and sish. And I don't know that it's pronounced Zeesh, I pronounce it Zeesh. But I wanted to compare and contrast them just a little bit. So their main file, bashrc for bash, zeeshrc for zeesh, that kind of makes sense. And bash is pretty widely used, it was pretty standard. I would say zeesh is growing in popularity, it's a bit newer. Bash has a lot of simplicity going for it, and zeesh is very customizable, has great tab completion and plugins. I personally use zeesh, so we're gonna look at that in the demo. Going a little further in command line wizardry, let's talk about scripts and functions. This top script is one of my favorites to use. I use this to run test files over and over again for a certain number of iterations. The reason I like to do that locally is sometimes you run a test a couple times and it passes perfectly and you're like, great, this is good, let's merge it in. But then you find out later that it's flaky, or there's a race condition. There's something there that causes issues, and that's not a problem when you ran it a couple times. But when you merge it into the test suite, maybe there's 1,000 developers using it. Maybe there's only 30. But even still, running those tests over and over again, that's a problem when you have a bunch of flaky ones. So I really like using this. And then I have an example of a pretty simple function. I used to work in an agency, and I had some projects that were using Valet, and I had a couple projects that were using Docker. And so I used this to kind of switch in between them really quickly, something similar to this. These are some great ways to just make your life a little bit faster. We're going to talk a little bit about Oh My Zeesh. It's a framework for using Zeesh, and I love it. And there's lots of great ones out there. This is the one I love. One of my favorite things about it is knowing where you are. I have a picture of my terminal, and you can see that we're in the Window Magic Command Line Wizardry project, and we're on the feature, super cool new feature. There's lots of templates, themes, you can change it up, and we're going to talk about my favorite part of Oh My Zeesh, which is Z. It's a really fantastic plugin. We'll get into that in the demo. All right, aliases. There are so many different ways to write your aliases. It's really fun to see how different people write them, like what words make sense, what letters make sense, which ones are important to them. I just included some examples of some of mine. OpenZeesh, super helpful. I also included reload in there so that I don't have to reload it. The dot for reload, that's synonymous with source. gpull, I have to do pull all the time. I don't want to work hard on that. Some people do gp, and that one doesn't work for my brain. I'm always like, is that push or pull? And so I like to make my life really easy by being very specific. Gap, git add patch. This one, if you haven't experienced it before, we'll look at it a little bit in the demo. I love it. I feel like it helps make the command line just a bit more visual. So maybe if you're a GUI user, this might entice you a little bit to try the command line more. I can't be bothered to write git commit -m or git checkout -b over and over again. Too much work. And then this last one is really important for us Laravel developers. I can't tell you the number of times I've written Docker Composer instead of Docker Compose. So I needed to make an alias. I had to fix that problem. All right, we're going to start talking about some window management tools, some very simple ones. So I have a little picture of VS Code and a terminal next to each other. And some tools you could use are Amethyst and Magnet. Amethyst has several different window layouts. Magnet, it gives you 3 different ways: drag and drop, presets, keyboard shortcuts. So these are some options that are out there. There are some differences between some of these tools. Some of them are a bit more out of the box, and some are more customizable. And it's a bit of a spectrum. Some of them are a little more customizable than others. But looking at what tool you want, it's helpful to know, do you want to customize, or do you want it to just work and not think about it? So if it's out of the box, It only will work that way, or maybe a couple ways. But with Customize, you can make it your own. Like whatever works for you and you're really passionate about, you can do that. Out of the box, it just works. Customizable, it's a bit more work to get it working. Out of the box is very easy to use. Customizable, it's a little overwhelming sometimes. If you're newer to these tools, sometimes it's better to go with out of the box. What about Hammerspoon? I'm so glad you asked me about that. I love talking about Hammerspoon. It's a pretty powerful tool for automation. It's a bridge between operating system and Lua scripting. I use it a lot for window management. Maybe one day I'll switch it up, but I've been extremely happy with it. We'll look at my Hammerspoon in the demo. But what about tools that are like more than just window management? Window management's cool, but what about what else you can do? So there's some tools out there like Alfred and Raycast, and these are window management and application launchers, and they are productivity software, and just you can't even really quickly list all the things they can do. They're incredible. I learned about both of these from my friend Josh C. Like I said, learning from other people is fantastic, and he has a really great blog where he compares and contrasts them. He's been jumping back and forth over the years, and I won't spoil the ending of his article, but you can go see which one he's currently on. Alfred is a bit older. It started in 2010. And Raycast is a bit newer. It started in 2020. They're definitely very similar to each other. We'll look a little bit at their differences. There's also much more detailed differences that we're not going to get into. Alfred, I've seen some places where it says it's primarily a launcher. I'm going to still put that because of the free version. It is primarily a launcher, but it obviously does a lot of powerful stuff if you buy the license. Raycast, a little bit more on script commands. Alfred workflows, but those come with the license. Raycast, it has an extensive store of extensions that are made by the community. They're incredible. Alfred, there is a free version, but it's a bit limited in what you can do with it. There's a license version, one-time fee, and you have it forever. That could be a really great fit for some people. And then they have a subscription if you want to add more to it. Raycast, you have a more powerful free version, and then you have a paid subscription to add on to that. What about Windows? As not a Windows person, I'm mostly just Googling, and then Google told me some options, and I was like, great, I'll put these on a slide. I saw Walks come up and ScriptKit, no idea if they're good. Someone can let me know who uses Windows. But I did hear that Raycast might be going to Windows at some point. So if you watch the demo and you're like, man, I'd love to use Raycast, it might be coming. And then, Jess Archer, I was like, hey, what about Linux? What's going on there? And she got sad. And Jess is a Laravel treasure, and so I was like, oh, okay, we got to move on. I can't make Jess sad. I did a little bit of Googling. I saw maybe like i3 and this other one I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, but maybe you have some options there. If you're Linux people, feel free to let me know what you got and how you like it. Okay, now the scary part. We're moving into the live demo. Okay. I can't just talk to you about these tools. I have to show you them, because otherwise it's just not the same. So let's start by looking at Hammerspoon. I have my config here, and hopefully that's readable. I've tried to blast this as big as I can. We're not going to look too in-depth at this, but I have some functions to move around screens. I learned about this from my partner, and this is heavily based on his config, and then I modified it to fit my needs, which is a great way to do things. So I have ways to open Google and iTerm and Zoom and Visual Studio Code, and you can just add whatever you're looking for. But it's really nice. I have Command Shift A to just bring up my terminal. I'm going to go ahead and clear that. And then I can bring up VS Code, Command Shift V, and that's just what I picked. You don't have to pick that, and then I can pull up my Chrome, and then I can move it to the side. I can bring up Visual Studio Code, bring that to the side. It works really nicely. I've been really happy with it. And then let's start looking at the terminal. So this is Oh My Zeesh, and let's see, maybe I can make that a little bit bigger. So right now, like I said, Zeesh tells me exactly where I am. I'm in the desktop. That's great. Well, I can use Z. Z is a replacement for CD, and I can figure out, where I want to go. But I don't have to worry about where I am currently and where I'm trying to get to. There's no worrying about paths. So if I'm trying to get to downloads, I can just say down, and then I'm in downloads. I don't even have to type the whole word downloads. That's amazing. I'm lazy, and anything that makes it faster for me is great. So if I want to go back to desktop, I can just say desk. We're there. It's amazing. And then let's start looking into aliases. So I have my edit Zeesh command, which opens my zeesh.rc. I'm doing this in Vim mode. I like Vim. We can do a slash, an alias, search for that. N can search to the next alias, next instance of that search. So here's some of my aliases. I have others, but I got rid of some of them to not show. But we have some really classic ones, including the ones I showed you already. And we have the nah, which you gotta have in Laravel. All right, let's go ahead and just add a new alias. Let's do alias laracon equals. Let's echo, hey. I can't tell you how many console logs I have that are just hey. So to get out of Vim, it's colon and then W for write and Q for quit, in case you don't use Vim a lot. So let's go ahead and check. Oh, and because I have reload happening whenever I edit Zeesh, I don't really have to do anything to reload it. It's just right there. So that's really delightful. And then let's start checking out Raycast. So Raycast and Alfred are both fantastic choices. I went with Raycast. I really like the free version and how powerful it is, but there's a lot of versions you can go for. So I tried to make this as big as I could. Well, all right. This maybe we'll have to do. So I opened Raycast by doing command space. That used to be Spotlight. Spotlight I just changed to command shift space. So if I ever need it, it's there. It's valuable and it's got its place. But now that we're in Raycast, let's start looking around at what we have here. And let's see if we can get rid of the Spotlight. Perfect. So what can Raycast do? Well, we talked about its launcher. So let's see, we can launch something, and maybe this is really rude, but I'm going to have it launch Alfred. And then let's see, what else can it do? Okay, the clipboard history is super clutch. That's one of my favorite things about it. Now I see that the clipboard history is a little bit lower, so I can just hit Command to see the numbers and 3, and then I can get to the clipboard history. I'm gonna go ahead and delete some of these entries. We don't need to see them again. So you have your clipboard history, and the great thing is anytime you've copied something, it'll show up there, and a week later, if you're like, what was that thing I copied? I really need that again. You can just go to your history. Oh, this is really embarrassing. I probably should have cleaned up my clipboard history before getting on stage. I definitely know what Laravel is. Don't worry about that. So I can hit escape to go back to where I was before. We got some other options. We can do calculator. Let's see, yeah, that launches it, but we can also do it from here, calculate. So we can do 1,000 minus 20, and the great thing is if I hit enter, I have that now saved. So I can just enter that, which is really lovely. Sometimes that's exactly what you're looking for. Let's see some of the other features we have here. So we have define word. Let's see, Laravel, what do we get for that? Ooh, it seems like The dictionary hasn't caught up to Laravel. That's okay, it'll get there eventually. And then we're gonna start looking at one of my favorite things about Raycast. It might replace some of my aliases. So we're gonna look at snippets. And we're gonna go to 2 to search snippets. So I have a couple snippets in here. And the really fantastic thing about this is these can just go anywhere. So let me show you an example. We're gonna go to Chrome. Let's make that big. Let's do a new tab. So if I wanna do YouTube, I can just do YouTube, and it just replaces it there. And that's really fantastic. Any of those things you use over and over again, this can be really useful. I have another one, shrug, gotta have that. But what about like code stuff? We can really have some bang for our buck with that. So for instance, /view, all of a sudden I have this empty view component that's just really perfect, ready. I can get rid of what I don't need. I don't need to spend all this time writing these components out over and over again. I can just use that snippet. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. So we have our shrug again. We have our /flip. I want to show you one thing that's a bit of a problem, though. I have a flip all. Oh, actually, this worked. It depends on how fast it is. If you have the same beginning to a snippet, sometimes it gets to that first one instead of the second one. So in which case, I would flip all tables. Let's go ahead and Command K to, okay, it's not holding there. Command K to go ahead and edit it. And instead of flip all, maybe we'll say all flip. Then we don't have any issues. That's partially the reason that I'm doing this / for my snippet keywords. You could just put view, but the problem is you probably write view sometimes and you want it to actually just be view. You don't want a view component. So I like the /. You can pick whatever one you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and update that snippet. And then let's start looking into quick links. These are also really fantastic. So let's just go ahead and make a quick link. We'll do Command 2. We'll do search YouTube. So for this link, I've already got this ready. I got YouTube saved as a snippet. Perfect. Now one change we need to make is we need to get rid of this query. We have Laravel there. We need it to instead say query so that we can just put whatever we want. And then I'll do Command Enter, so we'll just do YouTube, and I can tab over into the query. And I mean, we love Laravel, so let's just go ahead and look that up. But we can see what is the popular videos about Laravel on YouTube. You can use this for so many things. I have a Laravel docs one. This one doesn't work as well. I have to get the right one. Which I did get the right one. But if I get the word wrong a little bit, like if I had left off the S in migration, I'll get to the main page. But it's still useful. I mean, getting there quickly is still awesome. So these are some of the really cool features on here. We can customize this a lot. We can look at Command, comma, and look at our settings. We have extensions. On these extensions, we can add aliases. Maybe we use the clipboard history frequently, so we want to make that really easy to get to. We could just say A or something. We could record a hotkey. There's a lot of cool things you can do in here. And you might be noticing that there's some extensions in here. So let's take a look at extensions. So we'll go to the store. So in the store, it shows you some of the extensions you can do, Google Translate, you can do Visual Studio Code. There's some really cool ones, Spotify. So I can look up the Laravel ones. We got the Laravel docs. We have another one for artisan commands. These are really cool. You could do ones for Tailwind. There's a lot of really neat ones out there. I haven't explored all of them, but there's a lot there. Okay, so there's a lot of power with Raycast. And I have really not gone that deep in it. There's a lot further we could go, but we don't have all the time in the world to keep exploring it, unfortunately. But I'd love to hear how you use Raycast or how you use your tools that might be similar. Let's summarize a little bit. So I covered a lot of tools, but the tools I covered in the demo are Hammerspoon, OMyZ, aliases, Raycast, clipboard history snippets, quick links. There were more things, but it's kind of a general summary. And yeah, have fun. Like this should be a fun thing to do. Make it your own. Don't try to do it all at once. Let me know what you learn or already use. And because you've attended this talk, you are all wizards now. I'm Rissa Jackson. Thank you for attending. This QR code will take you to my website. I'm Rissa Bubbles on Twitter. Oh boy. This might be even more nerve-wracking than the live demo. Okay.
I have questions. So, Raymond is asking, why do you use Vim?
Why do I use Vim? Vim's delightful.
It is?
Yeah.
If you need to quit with an exclamation point.
Great tip. Thank you.
No, it's not a tip. It's like you're telling, quit.
Quit. Yes, I like it.
So Gert is asking, how do you let Zish reload on after you change the file? How do you?
Oh, yeah, yep. Let me show that again really quickly. I probably ran through that pretty fast. Let me just get rid of that. We'll do edit Zish and /alias. And okay, so I could do this on one line, but I have it on two. Just sometimes maybe I want to reload and not open this. But anyways, so the reload is dot and then the path to the file. You could also use source. They both work. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Apparently it did. So from that guy, the anonymous user, you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So he's asking, what do you mean with upside down?
Upside down. Oof. Okay. Sometimes I'm doing handstands. Sometimes I'm doing headstands. Sometimes I'm doing acro.
Can you show us?
Okay. All right. For you, and for this audience.
Not with me. Not with me.
No. Okay.
I had enough with Bobby.
Okay. Is Jess Archer out there?
Oh.
Hey, could you come on stage and help me? And I definitely can't hurt Jess, or Lisa will kill me. So could I have James maybe as well?
Rissa, please don't break them. Taylor needs them.
I know. This is high stakes, but
okay.
All right.
If something's up, sorry, Taylor.
Okay. All right. I have my lovely assistants.
Oh boy.
I'm going to get on Jess's shoulders.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
All is good.